Financial Planner. Follow us on YouTube.
Hundreds of European banks are in trouble. This is going to be a disaster. Let's get into the economic collapse financial news. Now, we've been watching the precious metals market, and we noticed in the last couple of weeks there's been a lot of paper contracts thrown at gold, and it's brought down the price. And we've noticed that this is continually happening, and it happens around 9:30 or so in the morning Eastern Standard Time. And once again, gold was slammed down this morning. Silver was also slammed back below $17. Now, these slam downs are now happening more often, which tells us they don't want gold and silver to rise. They're trying to keep everyone distracted, thinking that everything is great, that the dollar is fantastic. Gold and silver, they're not going anywhere. And this tells us that we're getting closer and closer to the system completely ripping itself apart. And if we look at the crypto market, we can see that the cryptocurrencies, they are going up like there's no tomorrow. And of course, people are out there saying there's a bubble happening. But again, there are many people out there that don't even know how to get into the crypto market. They hear about it, they know something's going on, but still it's a very small piece of the pie that are actually dealing in cryptocurrencies. And we see right now that the crypto market kind of emulates what gold and silver should be doing right now. And I think this is why the central bankers and those in power are getting a little worried. And this is why they're continually keeping the gold and silver prices down. And once again, like I said before, we should be looking at everything, not just that, ooh, we should be in gold and silver. Ooh, we should just be in cryptocurrencies. We should be in everything. A little bit here, a little bit there, diversified, even dollars, because when the system comes down, you're going to need dollars. When we see inflation occurring and people are out there trying to purchase their goods, you're going to use the dollars first. The cryptocurrency and the gold will be used much later. You'll probably move into bartering before you even touch any of the other things. The other things are to maintain your wealth. And most likely, down the line, we might go into an electronic currency like cryptocurrency, where if you have gold, you can use it to buy some crypto coins and things like that. So we need to look at the entire picture here, not just one little thing. We also see the retail market is a complete and utter disaster. And I know that the corporate media, they're all out there, and I hear people saying, wow, this Black Friday was fantastic. Just listen to what the news is saying. I can't believe how much better it is. Cyber Monday, they're saying it's incredible. But once again, you need to look at what has happened during this year. Now, the number of retail store closings in 2017 has already tripled the number from 2016. Last year, there was about 2,000 stores that closed. This year, we're already up to 6,700. And we can see right now that this has shattered all-time records, because in 2008, the all-time record was 6,100 stores. So if we're in this incredible recovery, well, why are all these stores closing? Now, of course, I know people are going to be out there saying, and of course, the people that are listening to me are not going to say it, but other people are going to say, well, it's all going to online. Again, online sales only makes up around 10% of the entire retail market, and it's not a one-to-one transfer over to Amazon. Amazon has been around for a very long time. It's not like they just popped up and said, hey, we're taking all your business. They've been around for a very long time. Yes, the online market is growing, but it's not the market yet. It's only 10, 11% of the entire retail market. What we're seeing right now is that all of these stores that are closing, well, they just don't have the traffic. They don't have the sales. People aren't out there purchasing. That's what's really happening right now. And we see there's a lot of retailers that have gone bankrupt already. And I'm going to tell you right now, just from the data that's coming in, not what the corporate media is telling you, not the propaganda about how great Cyber Monday is and Black Friday. And once again, if these days are so great, they wouldn't have to extend any of the sales. Once you hear someone saying, well, we're going to extend Cyber Monday because it's been so great. Now, that tells you that Cyber Monday is not that great, and they're going to continue on with the sale to try to get more sales because it's not what they thought it was going to be, and they're below the number of sales that they thought they should have. So this is what we're hearing right now, and this is why they started the Black Friday sales way ahead of schedule. This is why they wanted stores open on Thanksgiving, which really didn't work out in the past, and they're continually trying all these different things to try to boost sales. But what we're seeing is that people aren't going out and purchasing. Yes, you're going to hear that, oh, mobile sales are on the rise. Of course, apps are getting better, but did it take over the entire retail market, the brick and mortar? No. Just because you hear what they're saying, that, ooh, it's doing a lot better, or this is the most popular online way to purchase, doesn't mean that sales are great. It's a propaganda move to make you think that things are doing better. But when you look at the hard numbers here, like the traffic to all these stores, you're looking at 4 to 6% decline of traffic compared to last year. And last year was a complete disaster. And once we get these retail numbers, we're going to see that it's going to be a lot worse than what they're saying. We see that Case-Shiller is out there, and again, they have this 20-city composite, and they're saying that houses are surging like we've never seen before. They're up by 6.19%. Now remember, in the 20 cities, they can control what is going on. They can keep houses off the market. And again, this doesn't apply to the rest of the country. They only can control a certain number of cities. And what we're seeing right now in all of these cities, like Boston, like we're seeing in Seattle, we're seeing that the housing bubble number 2, is way above housing bubble number 1. Now in Boston, it's 13% higher than the housing bubble back in 2007 going into 2008. In Seattle, it's 20% higher than it was back in 2007, 2008. Denver, it's 44% higher. Dallas, it's 42% higher. Atlanta, 2.7% higher. Portland, 20% higher. San Francisco, 27% higher. New York, 19% higher. And what we're seeing right now is that this housing bubble 2.0, is gigantic. And again, when it comes crashing down, and we can see across America outside of these 20 cities, there are people that are sitting on their homes. The value of the homes are decreasing. It's getting harder to sell the houses, and they're trying to keep this together as best they can. And the central banks, what they're trying to do is they're trying to keep all this together because they know if this whole thing falls apart, it's on their watch. This is why they're trying to create some type of distraction. We see that wholesale inventories, well, they plunged in October by 0.4%, and this was absolutely awful, and we're probably going to see a drop in GDP. Now, these GDP numbers, as we know, they're completely manipulated. And even though they come out with a 3% or 2.9%, when you strip away everything else and all the manipulation, we're really looking at a 1.2%, a 1.3%. If you look at John Williams and Shadowstat, when he's using the calculation going back a couple of years, we're looking at GDP numbers in the negative range. And that tells us something, that all of this had to be manipulated just to convince you that the economy is doing well. Now, we know that the banks went through all these different stress tests. We know that Europe had their stress test. The Fed had the stress test here in the United States. And we know right now, because we've been looking at all the European banks, many of them are insolvent. Many of them are in trouble. Many of them have a lot of non-performing loans that exceed tangible capital. And the ratios are above 100%. And when we look at Italy, we can see there's about 114 Italian banks that have non-performing loans that exceed tangible capital. The ratios are above 100%. Now, when we look at this, there's a little gauge called the Texas ratio, and it was developed by Gerard Cassidy and others at RBC Capital Markets. It's calculated by dividing the value of the lender's non-performing assets by the sum of its tangible common equity capital and loan loss reserves. And basically what they're saying is if the number is above 100%, the bank is in trouble. Now, if we look, we can see that in Italy, there's about 24 banks where their non-performing loans total 200% or more. And when we look at this, we can see that they are in big, big trouble. And this is going to spread to other banks, because they're all interconnected with derivatives. Now, if we go back in time and we check out the Texas ratio and see how it performed during the 80s, during the 90s, we can see that banks tended to fail when the ratio reached 1-to-1 or 100%. And if we go back to 1980, we can see, yes, the banks reached this and they failed. Go back to the 1990s, guess what? The banks failed because they reached this point. And he's out there saying that, yes, we can see this all throughout the United States, throughout Europe, that there's many banks that have reached this percentage, and they're on the cusp of completely imploding. And it's not just in Italy, it's in Spain, it's in France, it's in Germany, it's in the United States, and all these banks, once again, are interconnected, which tells us that we're headed for this great disaster. And we can see that the central bankers, they've been preparing, getting ready for this brand new system. We see the BRICS, they're establishing their own gold trading system. They're going to reevaluate and create a new benchmark for gold. We can see already that the payment system is out in China. Manufacturing is out in China. There's already a petro yuan. So when we look at this, we can see slowly but surely, it doesn't happen overnight. They've been planning this for quite a while. It took them many, many years to move everything out of the United States and to establish it someplace else, like China, Russia. And they're continually doing this, and they haven't stopped. This is why you need to be ready and prepared. And you can see from the slamming down of the gold and silver prices, they are very worried about what is about to happen, because I think once this breaks, once the system breaks down, we're going to see gold and silver shoot up, just like the cryptocurrencies, where the central banks can't control it. It's like the Wild West, and people are putting their funds into this because this is a free and open market. It's not centralized, it's decentralized, and they realize that no one is really controlling this compared to the precious metals market, where the central bank, the banks, they're controlling everything. The stock market, they're controlling that. They control the currencies of the world. And once the precious metals market breaks free, and it will break free, we're going to see gold and silver completely shoot up, most likely almost like cryptocurrencies, because if you take the calculations going all the way back prior to the Great Depression, gold and silver right now should be someplace between $7,000 and $8,000 for gold and $400 and $500 around for silver. And we can see that this number could be even higher because of what is happening around the world and how people are trying to protect their wealth. So you need to get prepared, because everyone, when I say everyone, I'm talking about the central banks, the banking system, the establishment, they're getting prepared and ready to move this to a new system. And you want to weather the storm. You want to have dollars. You want to have cryptocurrency. You want to have gold and silver. You want to have food, supplies, water, because when this does happen, you're going to need all of this. And when is it going to happen? Well, it could happen tomorrow. It can happen 3 months from now, 4 months from now. Those people who haven't prepared, start preparing, because if you have those 3 months, you have 3 months to prepare. If you have 6 months, you have 6 months to prepare. Those people who have been preparing, continue to do so. You can prepare some more, because once again, just like in 2007, 2008, going into 2009, all of a sudden, with the snap of a finger, everything fell apart. We're going to see the same thing happen once again. Let's